My name is Arpan Banerjee. I'm a doctoral fellow at the Department of East Asian Studies, University of Delhi, and academic counselor here at IGNOU. And I have been teaching you the paper Social Policies and Administration, the code of which is BPAE 144. So let us begin today's class. I welcome you all to today's learning session. Let us begin today's class. So far in this paper, in the first block of this paper, we have discussed two units which were pertaining to social policy and administration and introduction. So the first unit was pertaining to social policy, concepts, characteristics, objectives, scope, functions, principles, and models that we have discussed. The second unit was pertaining to social policy and administration, that also we have discussed. Moving on, the second block also we have finished. They were relating to the sustainable development goals. So social policies and sustainable development goals in social sector, that we have already discussed. As part of that, we have discussed 5 units. So unit 3 was pertaining to poverty alleviation. Unit 4 was pertaining to food security. Unit 5 was pertaining to education. Unit 6 was pertaining to health, and Unit 7 was pertaining to employment. We have discussed all these. So today we are going to begin with the third block of this paper, which consists of 3 units. And in today's class, we shall be discussing 2 units, Unit 8 and Unit 9. So Unit 9 is concerned with the role of the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment in India. And that is what Unit 8 is concerned with. Unit 8, which is a part of the third block, that is roles of various institutions. The third block is what we are going to start today. The third block is pertaining to the roles of various institutions. So as part of the third block, we are going to discuss 2 units today, Unit 8 and Unit 9. So Unit 8 is pertaining to the role of the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. And Unit 9 is pertaining to the National Commission for Scheduled Castes and the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes. And the 10th unit, which we will discuss in the next class, it is pertaining to the role of various institutes. And as part of that, we will be discussing the National Institute of Social Defense. But that we'll be discussing in the next class. In today's class, we'll be discussing Unit 8 and Unit 9. So let us begin with Unit 8. And of course, this unit consists, this block, the third block, it consists of 2 more units. That is the role of the Central Social Welfare Board and the role of the Civil Society case studies. That we'll do in the next class. So now beginning with the Unit 8, that is role of the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. A sound social policy, it confronts inequality and unfairness faced by the marginalized and the vulnerable population, that we know. It also works to advance social justice. When it comes to social justice, it is about equitable treatment. In fact, social justice is about fairly distributing the resources to the target audience so that they feel part and parcel of the larger community. So the target audience in this unit refers to the scheduled castes, the backward classes, the senior citizens, the victims of alcohol and substance abuse, the victims of beggary, transgender people, denotified tribes, nomadic tribes, and semi-nomadic tribes, as well as economically backward classes. For example, under the provisions of the Protection of Civil Rights Act 1955, denying access to scheduled castes to any public place of worship, shop, restaurant, hotel, public entertainment, cremation ground, etc. is an offense. In this regard, equitable treatment is to remind the society that all are equal and no member can be treated favorably or unfavorably. So promoting social justice and inclusivity throws a spotlight on all sorts of significant social challenges faced by the targeted audience. To achieve this, all modern governments have established institutions with responsibilities and commitments for empowering its people, especially the underserved. So, with the establishment of welfare states and the renewed commitment that all citizens are entitled for similar life chances and prospects, access to social welfare provisions has proved to be one of the ways in which the target audience can gain recognition and progress. Social welfare provisions include the governmental programs that are exclusively designed for the target audience to overcome the financial risks and uncertainties of life. The social welfare provisions include scholarships, free coaching, hostels for the socially and economically disadvantaged, schemes for economic development and social empowerment. To illustrate, free coaching for scheduled castes and other backward classes students is a social welfare scheme in India that is meant to provide quality coaching for economically disadvantaged scheduled castes and other backward classes students. This is to facilitate them to do well in the competitive examinations, public and private sector, and achieve their employment goals. The government has come up with such welfare schemes since years, keeping in mind to fill the gap between the targeted audience and the society. In this unit, we shall discuss Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment that strives to advance social justice and fairness for the underserved communities. The thrust of this unit is to understand the structure and functions of the ministry along with its vision, capacity building plans for the targeted audience, and some of its continuous efforts to make change sustainable. Now let us discuss the evolution of the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. So, during the pre-independence phase, India was not a welfare state as there was no equal opportunities and equitable distribution of resources to all. However, post-independence, India made a self-declaration that it would protect and advance public interest and social justice. Eventually, there have been considerable efforts taken by the Indian government towards building public institutions. In this regard, Ministry of Welfare was created initially to cater to the development needs. During 1985-1986, the Ministry of Welfare was bifurcated into Department of Welfare and Department of Women and Child Development. Concurrently, the Scheduled Caste Development Division, Tribal Development Division, Minorities Welfare Division, Backward Caste Welfare Division, Waqf Division together joined hands with the Ministry of Welfare. It was in the year 1998 the Ministry of Welfare was renamed as the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. However, the erstwhile Tribal Development Division moved away from the ministry to form a separate Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Minorities Welfare Division and Waqf Division formed a separate Ministry of Minority Affairs. The Department of Women and Child Development became a distinct Ministry of Women and Child Development. Besides catering to the development needs of the underserved, the government made its strong commitment to empower persons with various types of disability needs. Along with the Department of Social Justice and Empowerment, a separate Department of Disability Affairs, now renamed as Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities, was created within the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment in 2012. In fact, it was erstwhile functioning as the Division of Disability Affairs, same ministry. However, it was the 11th five-year plan which had made recommendation to elevate the division to department. The plan referred that the Disabilities Department would liaise effectively with all other concerned ministries and departments and fulfill its responsibilities towards the disabled. In this unit, we will study the two departments of the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment vis-a-vis Department of Social Justice and Empowerment and Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities. So put together, the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment is the nodal ministry for the welfare of the target audience vis-a-vis scheduled castes, backward classes, senior citizens, victims of alcoholism and substance abuse, beggary, transgender, de-notified tribes, nomadic tribes, semi-nomadic tribes, and economically backward class. So, the prime role of the ministry is to empower the target audience socially, educationally, and economically. Currently, the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment comprises of a cabinet minister and three ministers of state. Administratively, it is governed by secretary, additional secretary, joint secretaries, deputy secretary, director, as well as deputy director. So now let us discuss the constitutional provisions pertaining to the directive principles of state policy. So directive principles of state policy is fundamental to the governance of our country, as the morals identified in it are to be kept in view while formulating policies. In fact, they are the guidelines that intend to uphold the socio-economic justice of our country. So they intend to uphold the socio-economic justice of our country. These ideals are deeply ingrained into our constitution, and they put forth a code of conduct for its actors, both central and state governments. So indeed, the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment has expressed the directive principles of state policy framework in the institution's mission. So the directive principles of state policy, they are the guidelines that intend to uphold the socio-economic justice of our country. And these ideals, they are deeply ingrained into our constitution, and they put forth a code of conduct for its actors, both central and state governments. So the directive principles of state policy, they are fundamental to the governance of our country, and they are basically the morals that are identified in them. They are to be kept in view while formulating policies, and these ideals, they are deeply ingrained into our constitution, and they put forth a code of conduct for its actors, both central as well as state governments. And the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment has expressed the directive principles of state policy framework in the institution's mission. So to illustrate this, the ministry has demonstrated its strong welfare commitments in providing productive, safe, and dignified lives to the target groups vis-a-vis scheduled castes, backward classes, senior citizens, victims of alcoholism and substance abuse, beggary, transgender community, de-notified tribes, nomadic tribes, semi-nomadic tribes, as well as economically backward class. So in line with DPSP, the following articles are to be kept in mind while framing the policies for the targeted group. So Article 38, which is the state to secure a social order for the promotion of welfare of the people. According to Article 38 of the DPSP, the state endeavors to promote people's welfare and justice vis-a-vis social, economic, and political. Specifically, it intends to reduce income inequalities and eradicate exclusion across vocational and geographical grounds at both individual and group levels. Article 41 is pertaining to right to work, to education, and to public assistance in certain cases. When it comes to challenges being faced by the unemployed, elderly, sick, differently abled, and the underserved communities, the state shall make provisions for right to work and education. So, right to work and education, they are enshrined in the directive principles of the Constitution, and right to education is also a part. Right to education is also a part of the fundamental rights, and it is enshrined in Article 21A, and it was inserted through the 86th constitutional amendment in 2002. And right to education between the age of 6 and 14 years is a part of the fundamental rights as well, and it is also there in the directive principles in article 45. In Article 45 also, right to education has been enshrined, and also the children, they should be protected from moral and material abandonment. That is also something that the directive principles very clearly say, that children should be protected from moral and material abandonment. And the 86th amendment, it also inserted a provision in the fundamental duties. It added a new fundamental duty, that is Article 51A, Clause K, which is who is a parent or a guardian to provide opportunities for education to his child, or as the case may be ward, between the age of 6 and 14 years. So this provision was also inserted in Article 51A, that is fundamental duties, by the 86th constitutional amendment. And Article 38, it also puts a responsibility on the government that to ensure equality of status as well as equality of income, not only among individuals but also amongst groups of individuals, not only among individuals but also amongst groups of individual as well. So that is also something that is a responsibility of the union government. And another thing is regarding Article 39. So Article 39, which is a very significant part of the directive principles of state policy, it also puts a responsibility on the union government as well as the state governments to ensure that there is equal wage for both men and women, equal wage for equal work for both men and women. So the disparity in the wages that women get for the same work that they do, so that shouldn't be there, and the state should take measures to ensure that, and also to ensure equitable distribution of the means of production. To ensure equitable distribution of the means of production is also a duty of the state, and the state should make policies in respect to that. So these are some of the provisions that are given in Article 38 and 39. However, we must remember that the directive principles of state policy, they are not legally enforceable. They are not justiciable. So if they are not being implemented, then no person can go to the judiciary to implement them. So that cannot be done. So that is why they are not justiciable, but of course they act as a guide to the government's policy formulation. And the Supreme Court, in its judgment of Minerva Mills, it has clearly said that the harmony, the balance and harmony between the fundamental rights and the directive principles is an essential feature of, is an essential feature of the basic structure of the Indian Constitution. So that is why there has been a lot of conflict that has been observed over time in the implementation of fundamental rights and directive principles. And the union government, it has given primacy to the directive principles over the fundamental rights. So that has brought it at loggerheads with the judiciary on multiple occasions. So that is why the judiciary, in its judgment, Minerva Mills versus Union of India 1980, it said that the harmony and balance between directive principles and fundamental rights. That is an essential feature of the basic structure of the Constitution. So this basic structure doctrine, it was formulated by the judiciary in its 1973 landmark judgment of Kesavanand Bharti versus Union of India. So there is Article 46 in the Constitution, which says that it is the duty of the duty of the state to promote the educational and economic interests of the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes. And Article 47, it says that it is the duty of the state to raise the level of nutrition and the standard of living and to improve public health as well. So as part of that, we see the National Food Security Act has been formulated, and the recently launched Poshan Abhiyan is also in light of this only, that the government is trying to raise the level of nutrition, and also it is trying to improve the public health as well. Several initiatives have been launched by the government to improve public health. For example, the National Rural Health Mission, the NRHM, the scheme that is the Ayushman Bharat Yojana. That is also a very significant scheme that has been launched by the union government to improve public health in line with this directive principle. To implement this directive principle, the government has launched multiple schemes. For example, the Ayushman Bharat Yojana, the National Rural Health Mission, and to improve the nutrition, the union government has launched the Poshan Abhiyan, has implemented the National Food Security Act as well to raise the nutritional standards of the citizens of the nation. So Article 46, it also says that with the objective to protect the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes from all forms of social injustice and exploitation, the state resolves to promote their educational and economic rights. And also it is a part of Article 335 as well. So Article 335, it recognizes the rights of the scheduled caste community it recognizes their claim to public services, and it also says that they should be represented according to the proportion of their population in the public services. And Article 330, it also reserves seats in the union legislature, that is the House of the People, the Lok Sabha, for the scheduled caste people from the scheduled caste community. And Article 46, it says that it is the duty of the union government to promote the educational and economic interests of the scheduled caste community, and it is in line with the government's policy of affirmative action and positive discrimination, which is also enshrined in Article 16 of the Constitution, that is equality in matters of employment as well. So now let us discuss the Department of Social Justice and Empowerment. So according to the work allocation of the ministry, it acts as the nodal department for matters relating to the target audience. And who is the target audience? The target audience is the scheduled caste community, people from the socially and educationally backward classes, the denotified tribes, the nomadic and migratory tribes, the economically backward classes, and the senior citizens. So a nodal department is responsible for the overall policy, planning and coordination of welfare programs that is meant for the targeted audience. To illustrate with the aim to generate awareness amongst the youth regarding the ill effects of substance abuse, the ministry launched the Nasha Mukt Bharat Abhiyan in 2020. So accordingly, 272 vulnerable districts they have been identified across India for community training and participation in eradicating the menace of substance abuse from the country. So, though the ministry is responsible for coordinating with various departments, ministries, and non governmental organizations, the overall supervision and monitoring of the target specific programs will be taken care by the concerned central ministries, uh, respective state governments, departments, and union territory administrations. So the department has the following associated organizations. So there are certain commissions as well which are related to this department. That is the Department of Social Justice and Empowerment. The commissions are the National Commission for Scheduled Caste, the National Commission for Backward Caste, the National Commission for Safai Karmacharis, the National Commission for Denomadic and Semi-Nomadic Tribe. Now there is a national institute also which is associated with the Department of Social Justice and Empowerment, that is the National Institute for Social Defense. It is something that we will be discussing in detail in the next class, that is the National Institute of Social Defense. So there are certain corporations as well. For example, the National Scheduled Caste Finance and Development Corporation, the National Backward Caste Finance and Development Corporation, the National Safai Karmachari Finance Corporation, and there are certain foundations as well. That is the Dr. Ambedkar Foundation, the Babu Jagjeevan Ram National Foundation, and besides, the department has the following divisions vis-a-vis scheduled caste. What are these divisions? They are Scheduled Caste Welfare Division, Welfare of Other Backward Classes Division, Social Defense Division, Plan Division, and Statistics Division. So now let us discuss the functions of the Scheduled Caste Welfare Division. In this regard, the Scheduled Caste Welfare Division is a bureau under the department that coordinates with various central ministries, state governments, and union territories in providing scholarships, hostels, residential schools, coaching classes, and concessional loans and alike to the students from the scheduled caste community. So now let us discuss about the educational empowerment. So in order to empower the learners from the scheduled caste community educationally, the government provides the post-matric scholarship for scheduled caste students. So the post-matric scholarship for scheduled caste student is being provided by the government to empower them educationally, to empower the students from the scheduled caste community educationally. The post-matric scholarship for scheduled caste students is being provided by the government. So the core aim of this scholarship is to provide financial assistance to those students who are not able to afford for their education at the post-matric level. So the role of the ministry is to notify those institutions which is eligible to get covered under this scheme. And primarily, this scholarship has increased the gross enrollment ratio of the scheduled caste students. And to illustrate, in 2002-2003, there were 18.94 lakh scheduled caste enrollments, whereas in 2018-19, there were 60.29 lakh enrollments, thus increasing the enrollment to more than threefold in just 2 decades. In 2019-20, the government had allocated rupees 2,926 crores and nearly 53% of students had benefited from it. So also financial assistance has been provided to higher educational learners, that is those students pursuing MPhil PhD under the National Fellowship for Scheduled Caste Students. Also, the Babu Jagjeevan Ram Chhatravas Yojana is a scheme meant for construction of hostels for scheduled caste students who live in remote and rural areas of the country. In fact, construction of hostels for scheduled caste girls has been in vogue since 1960s. Based on the norms provided in the scheme, 100% central assistance is being provided to all state governments, union territories, and central and state universities, as well as institutions for the construction of hostels. Now let us discuss about economic empowerment. So to boost the economic empowerment of the scheduled caste population, various income generating schemes, skill development programs have been incorporated under the Special Central Assistance to Scheduled Caste Subplan, that is the SCSP. Every state government union territory is expected to include the SCSP in their annual action plan. As part of its commitment to women population, 15 and 5% of the total special central assistance are to be utilized by the state governments or union territories on scheduled caste women and women with disabilities to further boost the economic empowerment of the target group. The National Scheduled Caste Finance and Development Corporation was created in 1989 as a government owned not for profit company, and the core mission of this entity is to finance, facilitate, and mobilize funds for the socio-economic development of the SC community. So now let us discuss about community empowerment. So at the community level, the Pradhan Mantri Adarsh Gram Yojana or the PMAGY, it has been launched for the purpose of development of villages wherein more than 50% of the SC population they reside, and along with the social welfare program, it intends to provide inclusive development in the areas of drinking water and sanitation, education, health and nutrition, social security, rural roads and housing, electricity and clean fuel, agricultural practices, financial inclusion, digitization, and livelihood and skill development. So, it is also playing a huge role in fulfilling India's intended nationally determined contributions, or the INDCs, which will go a long way in fulfilling the sustainable development goals. So India is also fulfilling its sustainable development goals. So sustainable development goal 2, that is end hunger, achieve food security and improve nutrition, and promote sustainable end hunger, achieve food security and improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. That is also something that is being achieved through these schemes. And also regarding sustainable development goal 6, that is ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all, that is also being achieved by these welfare programs of community empowerment. And also sustainable development goal 2, that is ensure healthy lives and well-being for all at all ages, is also being achieved. And also sustainable development goal 7, that is ensure reliable, modern and sustainable energy for all, is also being achieved through these programs. So now another aspect that is being done by the Department of Social Justice and Empowerment is regarding social empowerment. So primarily the department is responsible for constituting a committee to come up with the steps to curb public offences like prevalence of untouchability and atrocities against the scheduled castes. Thus, it upholds the social justice of the target audience. So, the statutory act that intends to promote social empowerment includes the protection of the Protection of Civil Rights Act, that is of 1955. It provides punishment for those who indulge in practices of untouchability. Then there is the Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act, 1989. It provides assistance to all states and union territories for the implementation of the act, Some of the relief measures being provided, they include financial assistance to the victims, incentives for intercaste marriages, awareness generation on prevention of atrocities, establishing special courts meant to hear the injustice. Also, the prohibition of employment as manual scavengers as their Rehabilitation Act 2013. It prohibits the employment of manual scavengers and hazardous manual cleaning of sewer and septic tanks. Besides, it identifies and rehabilitates the manual scavengers as well. Also, there is the welfare of other backward classes division as well. This division, it oversees the policy, planning and implementation of matters regarding the social and economic empowerment of the other backward castes. For the welfare of the other backward classes, two institutions have been set up, namely the National Backward Classes Finance and Development Corporation, NBC-FDC, and the National Commission for Backward Classes, the NCBC. This division, it looks into the matters of the aforementioned institutions. Besides serving the needs of the other backward classes, the division also caters to the requirements of denotified, nomadic and semi-nomadic tribes, DNTs, senior citizens, beggars and transgender persons. To illustrate the central scheme assistance for skill development of OBCs, denotified, nomadic and semi-nomadic tribes, DNTs, economically backward classes, EBCs, it aims to improve the educational and socio-economical conditions of the target group by involving voluntary sectors and National Backward Classes Finance and Development Corporation, that is the NBC-FDC. The NBC-FDC is a Government of India public undertaking that has two-pronged objectives. The first is skill development and the second is self-employment ventures. So also another objective is educational empowerment. So like Scheduled Caste Welfare Division, this division also caters to the educational empowerment of the target group. So scholarships, namely pre-matric scholarship to OBC for studies in India, post-matric scholarships, Dr. Ambedkar pre-matric and post-matric scholarship for DNTs and EBCs have also been provided. One of the flagship programs, that is the Dr. Ambedkar Central Sector Scheme of Interest Subsidy on educational loans for overseas studies for other backward classes and economically backward classes, EBCs, was launched in 2014-15. The core aim of this scheme is to support those qualified OBC and EBC candidates for better and higher education and employment prospects. It includes interest subsidies to the eligible learners. For the year 2019-20, a total fund of rupees 15 crores were released to 3,290 beneficiaries. Now let us discuss economic and social empowerment. The NBC-FDC, it facilitates in myriad development areas like agriculture and allied activities, small business, artisans, and traditional occupation, transport and service sector, technical, vocational and professional trades, etc. The corporation assists in disbursing two types of loans, vis-a-vis term loan and microfinance. For example, under the term loan, there is a scheme called the New Swarnim for Women that caters to low income backward classes women to obtain loan up to rupees 2 lakhs with 5% interest per annum. Similarly, under the microfinance scheme, beneficiaries can access loan up to rupees 1,25,000 and self-help groups can access up to rupees 15 lakhs. So the NBC-FDC also facilitates traditional backward classes artisans to exhibit their products and establish linkages with the market. So to illustrate, the Indian International Trade Fair, Shilpotsav Delhi Haat and Suraj Kund International Crafts Mela Fair were organized across the states, enabled the artisans to sell their products. Also, the e-marketing workshops and GST awareness programs have been given to the beneficiaries as well as the artisans. So also there is the social defense division. This division caters to the needs of senior citizens, victims of alcoholism and substance abuse, transgender persons, beggars, destitute people, senior citizens. Various policies, acts and programs have been aimed to improve the welfare of deprived senior citizens as well. And also for the transgender persons, the ministry has been responsible for the welfare of the transgender community since July 2012. However, the work has been allocated to the department only since May 2016. Ever since, the ministry has been active in enacting various programs and acts, including the Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act 2019. As per the rules of the Act, the transgender persons have the right to proclaim their gender identity. Not only this, a transgender person cannot be discriminated on any matters like education, healthcare, employment, etc. In 2019-20, the ministry provided an amount of rupees 1.5 crores for the welfare and skill development training. Also, under the post-matric scholarship for OBC students, a total of 17 transgender learners have availed the scholarship as on December 2020. Similarly, a total of 75 transgender learners have availed the scholarship under the post-matric scholarship for SC students. And a dedicated national portal has also been inaugurated for the transgender persons so that they can electronically apply for getting their identity cards duly certified by the district magistrate. And this move was taken to avail service without face-to-face interaction with the office, thereby protecting their dignity in public places. So also there have been initiatives that have been taken for the destitute people to eradicate beggary. In the absence of central legislation for the vagrants and destitute people, the Indian government has come up with the Persons in Destitution Protection, Care and Rehabilitation Bill 2020. It is intended to be more rehabilitative rather than punitive. And this pilot project, it intends to work with the support of state governments, union territories, local bodies and voluntary agencies. So it is the ministry is concerned with the rehabilitation of the destitute people vis-a-vis identification, healthcare, counseling, education and skill development. Also, the plan division is also there. The division monitors and implements the skill development programs for the target audience. In this regard, the Pradhan Mantri Dakshata or Kushalta Sampann Hitgrahi PM Daksh Yojana, a national action plan, has been launched for skill training of the marginalized sections vis-a-vis the scheduled caste, other backward classes, economically backward classes, the denotified tribes, the sanitation workers, including waste pickers. Secondly, it works for the implementation of the scheme for rehabilitation of manual scavengers. And the statistics division is majorly responsible for sponsoring evaluation research studies on the target audience. So Unit 9 is the National Commission for Scheduled Castes and National Commission for Scheduled Tribes. So the founding father of the Indian Constitution, they took cognizance of the fact that certain sections of the population were found to be in extreme backwardness vis-a-vis social, educational and economic, that they felt essential to protect and promote their fundamental interests on par with the rest of the populace. The founding fathers attributed some of the reasons for such backwardness, such as untouchability practices, poor agricultural practices, lack of access to resources, etc. As a result, their social mobility got restricted and it affected their development both socially and economically, with the aim to boost their morale and enable them to access resources equally without any hassles. These communities became unified as the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes under the clause 1 of Article 341 and Article 342 of the Constitution respectively. Ever since 1950, the Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes Commission had been operational as constitutional bodies, Article 338. However, they were later on bifurcated to create Article 338 and 338A, the National Commission for Scheduled Castes and National Commission for Scheduled Tribes. And further, another commission was created by adding Article 338B, that is National Commission for Backward Classes. That was also created through the 103rd Constitutional Amendment. Though started to function as a single special officer, currently the commission functions as a multi-member authority. This was owing to the intensity of the complexities faced by the targeted audience that called for the need of a strong representative and effective body. Due to the political pressures put forth by the members of parliament that a single commission is inadequate to monitor the constitutional safeguards of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, the Constitution 89th Amendment Act of 2003 came to replace Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes Commission as National Commission for Scheduled Tribe and National Commission for Scheduled Castes and National Commission for Scheduled Tribes. It is to be noted that it is the duty of the welfare state to protect the underserved communities from injustice and exploitation. In a welfare state, every institution authority is expected to promote the welfare of the underserved communities, and it is not just vested exclusively to the National Commission for Scheduled Castes and National Commission for Scheduled Tribes. Although the two commissions they enjoy constitutional backing, its recommendations are not mandatory. Rather, their recommendations are only advisory, and rather the recommendations are not mandatory but advisory. And in this unit, we will study the constitutional bodies, National Commission for Scheduled Castes and National Commission for Scheduled Tribe, that caters to the protection of the target audience. Before discussing the two commissions, let us understand some of the constitutional safeguards that are available for the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes. So what are these constitutional safeguards? The constitutional safeguards, they can be classified as development and protective safeguards, social safeguards, economic safeguards, educational and cultural safeguards, political safeguards, service safeguards. The above mentioned safeguards are applicable to all the people, especially to the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. So, development and protective safeguards. These safeguards could be found in the directive principles of state policy. Specifically, Article 46, it intends to improve the educational and economic interests of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, development safeguards, protect the target audience from social injustice and all forms of exploitation, protective safeguards. Also, there are certain social safeguards as well. Article 17, with the objective to protect their social mobility and eradicate the untouchability menace, Article 17 was inserted to give effect to this article and to punish the miscreants. Protection of Civil Rights Act was enacted. Article 23 prohibits human trafficking, beggary, and other forms of forced labor. As majority of bonded laborers belong to scheduled caste community, it has significance to this community. Article 24 states that no child below 14 years shall work in any factory or mine that is hazardous to his or her life. This is relevant in the context of the scheduled caste community as a considerable section of child laborers belong to these categories. Article 25, clause 2, subclause B indicates that all Hindu religious institutions would be made accessible to all classes and sections of the population. This law states that all persons, irrespective of caste, have the right to enter religious places. Also, there are certain economic safeguards. So, economic safeguards intend to protect the target audience from economic aggression and dominance. It also provides them freedom to pursue their interests without any coercive action. In this regard, Article 23, 24, and 46 mentioned above, they form part of the economic safeguards for the scheduled caste community. There are certain educational and cultural safeguards as well. Article 15, clause 4 empowers the state to initiate progressive measures for the welfare of the socially and educationally backward sections, inclusiveness of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. For example, reservation of seats made possible in technical institutions and engineering and medical colleges for the targeted audience. Political safeguards, according to the Article 330, Lok Sabha seats are to be reserved for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. And Article 332 indicates reservation of seats for the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribe community in the state legislative assemblies as well. There are certain service safeguards as well. Under various sections of Article 16, the state has the right to reserve positions for the targeted audience and also promotion for the eligible groups. Now, if we discuss the National Commission for Scheduled Castes, It has been created for effective implementation of various safeguards provided in the Constitution for the welfare of scheduled castes. In fact, Article 338 it mandates the Commission to investigate and monitor all matters relating to social inequalities. When it comes to institutional orientation of National Commission for Scheduled Castes, it is undoubtedly a protective institution as it can be dealt with Article 46 that state must seek to promote the educational and economic interests of the weaker sections of the society vis-a-vis the scheduled caste. In this process, the state shall protect the target audience from all forms of social injustice and exploitation. Based on the provisions made by the law, the National Commission for Scheduled Castes it comprises of a chairman, a vice chairperson, and three other members. Besides making appointment, the conditions of service and tenure of office of the commission are determined by the president. The first National Commission was established in the year 2004. The headquarters of the National Commission for Scheduled Castes is in Delhi. The Secretary to the Government of India is the administrative head and is assisted by officers at the level of Joint Secretary, Directors and Deputy Secretaries. National Commission for Scheduled Castes is located across 12 state offices. The state offices are headed by the officers of the rank of chairperson who has special knowledge in matters relating to scheduled castes shall be nominated by the state government. The vice chairperson who has special knowledge in matters relating to the scheduled caste shall be nominated by the state government. Three persons who have special knowledge in matters relating to the scheduled caste, they shall be nominated by the state government. And the term of office and conditions of service of the chairperson, vice chairperson, and members shall be subject to the pleasure of the state government, shall hold office for a term not exceeding 3 years, as may be specified by the state government. The fixed amount and allowances payable to and the other terms and conditions of service of the chairman, vice chairman, and allowance payable to the members shall be such as may be prescribed. So the duties of the commissions are to investigate and monitor all matters related to safeguards in the constitution for the scheduled caste or under any government order, to evaluate the workings of such safeguards, to inquire into specific complaints with regard to deprivation of rights and safeguards of the scheduled caste community, to advise the government in the planning process of socio-economic development of the scheduled castes, and to evaluate the progress of the development under the union and in any state. Also, to annually present the report on working of the safeguards to the President of India and to make recommendations to the union or any state for effective implementation of the safeguards. And also the National Commission for Scheduled Castes as well as the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, they have the power to act as a civil court in matters pertaining to the welfare of the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes, and it can use its power in summoning and enforcing the attendance of any person from any part of India and examining him on oath. Yet another power is to request any public record or copy from any court or office. The consultation. The union and every state government consults the commission on all major policy matters related to scheduled castes. Also, the review meetings are there. In 2016-17, National Commission for Scheduled Castes reviewed the follow-up action being taken by the public sector undertakings and public sector banks. The reviews were to assess the implementation of reservation policy for the scheduled caste community. And also, the National Commission for Scheduled Caste has dedicated wings vis-a-vis Service Safeguard Wing, Economic and Social Development Wing, and Atrocities and Protection of Civil Rights Wing that caters to different types of cases. To illustrate, in 2016, a total number of 38,669 cases were dealt with, 13,540 cases at the headquarters and 25,129 cases at the state offices. And these cases in state offices, the grievance or complaints received by the National Commission for Scheduled Castes, both at headquarters and in state offices, can be broadly classified into three categories. The first is the complaints related to service safeguards. They are dealt by the Service Safeguard Wing. Then there is the complaints related to economic social development. that are handled by the Economic and Social Development Wing, and then there are complaints related to atrocities that are dealt by Atrocities and Protection of Civil Rights Wing. So atrocity related matters include harassment, land conflict, temple entry, social boycott, etc. So the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, it was established in the year 2004 under Article 338A through the 89th Amendment. As per the article, it is the duty of the Commission to oversee the effective implementation of the safeguards available for the Scheduled Tribe community. As the National Commission for Scheduled Tribe is for the as the National Commission for Scheduled Castes is for the Scheduled Caste community, the role of the National Commission for Scheduled Tribe is to protect and promote the socio-economic development of the Scheduled Tribe community. Besides, National Commission for Scheduled Tribes presents the annual report to the President that documents the Scheduled Tribes' socio-economic status across the country. Like National Commission for Scheduled Caste, the National Commission for Scheduled Tribe comprises of a chairperson, vice chairperson, and 3 other members. The term of office of the commission is for 3 years from the date of assuming charge. The chairperson and vice chairperson, they hold the rank of cabinet minister and minister of state respectively. And the headquarters of the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes comprises of regional offices which are located in 6 states. Besides the headquarters, they include 6 units. The administration coordination has 4 research units. So the Ministry of Tribal Affairs is the nodal ministry for the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, and the conditions of service and tenure of office of the National Commission for Scheduled Tribe members, they are notified by the ministry only. The duties of the commission are to investigate and monitor all matters related to the safeguards that are provided for the Scheduled Tribes under the Constitution or any law of government or order or policy, to inquire into specific complaints concerning deprivation of rights and safeguards of the Scheduled Tribe, to take part and counsel the government in the planning process of socio-economic development of the Scheduled Tribes, and to evaluate the progress of their development under the union and any state, and also to annually present report on functioning of the safeguards before the President of India and make recommendations to the union or any state for effective implementation of the safeguards and other measures for the welfare and socio-economic development of the Scheduled Tribe community, and discharge those functions as may be specified by the President or any law or rule. The functions, they include the policies and programs that cater to the protection, welfare, development, and advancement of the Scheduled Tribe community. So the powers of the commission are given as follows. So they have procedural autonomy as well. So the procedure of investigation and inquiry into the working of the safeguards, the National Commission for Scheduled Tribe has procedural autonomy regarding that, as well as procedural autonomy regarding the frequency of meetings that are to be conducted and monitoring of functions of the commission and its regional offices. So it also has a power to act as civil court, and there are certain powers like powers to summon, enforce, and examine an oath of any person across any part of India, access, discover, and production of any document pertaining to Scheduled Tribes, receive evidence on affidavits, request any public record or copy from any court or office, and any matter as resolved by the President or Parliament. So, thank you so much for joining today's class. Namaste.